On the year 1383, King Ferdinand of Portugal dies with no male heir to the throne. This was the start of a very chaotic time in Portuguese history known as the Portuguese Interregnum. Two men claimed the rights to the throne of Portugal, John of Portugal and John of Castile. A few years later, on the 14th of August 1385, John of Castile marches an army of 31,000 troops. The army consisted of Castilians, French, and Aragonese, and they marched to central Portugal. Standing defiantly in their way, preparing for battle, 6,000 Portuguese rebels and 100 English longbows stood, commanded by John of Portugal. The fate of Portuguese independence would be decided right here on the battlefield. This is the Battle of ALJUBARROTA. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield. My name is Apollo and this is Medieval Kingdoms Total War 1212 AD, the mod for Total War Attila, and this is an online battle with a nice historical twist. Now the numbers for these armies are not exactly historical. The Portuguese actually have more troops than the Castilians, which we all know historically the Castilians had a huge army compared to the Portuguese. Well, again, because this is a video game and we want it close and we want a nice battle, the numbers are going to be fairly even, but it's nice to have a nice historical twist to these online battles. Now, if we actually look at the battlefield here, there would actually be two creeks going on the left and right side of the Portuguese. That's what caused the Castilians to have to really bunch up their forces and attack the Portuguese position. Now, historically, the Portuguese, unbelievable, they greatly outnumbered, but they are actually victorious in this fight, which is insane. And then John of Portugal would be King John of Portugal. So that's how it played out historically. Now, before this battle begins, let's look at the army comps of these two armies. So we'll start with the Portuguese. I absolutely love the Portuguese army. So they've got some skirmish cav actually already firing. So the battle is underway, but we're just missing a small skirmish there. We have some Portuguese nobles standing with a lower class of Portuguese. So we got some crossbows, and then we have some levy spears, and then way back here he's got his more professional troop like these heavy polearms and the heavy melee infantry. Love the Portuguese armor and uniforms. Then I guess we have the King of Portugal, but at this time he wasn't quite king. He has to win this battle and end this crisis, which, by the way, this was the final battle of the Portuguese crisis here. Now if we look at the army of Castile, he is bringing very nice crossbows in the front. He does have some very nice heavy melee infantry. Then back here is some pole arms, and then here is the King of Castile, John of Castile, hanging back. He also has some cav on the flanks as well. So that's pretty much it for the army comps. We can go ahead and dive into this fight, do some normal speed, which it begins, like I said, with a nice little skirmish, a little cat and mouse game between the two skirmish cav. We've got, I believe these are more of like a javelin scouting unit or skirmishing unit. So they are not going to have as good of a range compared to the Portuguese crossbow skirmish cav. But if they can get close enough, they would be able to do a decent amount of damage and really soften up that Portuguese cav. But yeah, it just seems like he's not going to fully commit. He's just kind of hanging back, maybe just seeing what's in these trees, waiting for him to charge out. Now, if we zoom over this way, there's actually more Portuguese cav waiting on this flank. So we've got some Portuguese nobles mixed in with some light melee cav. Now, historically, I believe the French... And just like, it's just like the French never learn at this time period. The French knights charge in and just get crushed by archers and crossbows like many times in the French history and medieval time period. So that was very unfortunate. So it doesn't start off well for the Castilian forces and allies. But we do have a nice skirmish starting up here, and you can see the position right here of these Portuguese archers, these crossbows kind of firing back. Now, I do like the fact that the Portuguese are up on this hill, because historically they were on a hill, again surrounded by creeks, but you know, you can't make it perfect on Total War Attila. So yeah, right now we just got a little bit of a skirmish phase, and they're probably not really accomplishing too much here because of all the vegetation in the way. A lot of the darts are just hitting branches and ricocheting and bouncing off, not really accomplishing a lot. Also, the angle to the enemy is not great, especially for the Castilian crossbows. Now, we do have some cav moving forward. Look at this. We do have some Portuguese nobles going for the Castilian crossbows. Look at this. Amazingly, he did not see that coming, and they are charging down. Now, he's actually able to get a lot of his crossbows out of there. Now, the nobles are going to move on to the next Castilian crossbow unit, and they are going to do some damage and continue to run down the line. Now, Castile needs to get his crossbows out of there. A little bit of a delayed reaction from the player. He might be focusing elsewhere on the battlefield, but the Portuguese nobles just kind of running around, not really killing too much, but they certainly are causing some damage and making it a little bit more difficult for the Castilians to assault this hill. And now the Portuguese charge into a heavy infantry unit. Again, not killing too many. Well, they've killed about 11 troops there, so not a terrible charge, but it's a nice disruption going on. Now, the other cav over here, the skirmish cav, actually getting focused down by the the Portuguese crossbow cav. So this skirmish phase is getting pretty intense over here. Now, the cav over on this side still hasn't engaged. Portugal might just engage here because they do have an advantage. They've got more cav units, so they should overwhelm the Castilian cav. But we do have some spears nearby that might quickly run over and support the Castilian cav. Oh, here we go, guys. Here we go. Yes, indeed. We do have a Portuguese cav charge. Oh, wait. Nope. They're just getting a little bit closer. He's got his light cav inching forward. So I think just maybe, I think he's just trying to set up a nice little cav charge, trying to overwhelm the flanks of the Castilian cav. It is very important for Portugal to defeat this Castilian cav because cav is just king in the medieval time period and really in this game. It's just really most Total Wars, cav is very decisive and important. So yeah, we do have the cav retreating, but they're going to turn back and stand their ground. So the Castilians charging in, and I think they were falling back to buy some time so they can charge in the medium spear infantry. And sure enough, they are setting in the spear support, and we do have a nice little engagement on the left wing of this battlefield. More cav running around. We got the Portuguese nobles going in for another charge, and they're going to try to soften up these spears, but it doesn't look like they're going to achieve too much there. If we head back over to the other parts of the battlefield, still the skirmishing is going on. The cav still kind of just looking at each other, so no cav engagement on this side just yet. So we're going to head back over to this juicy fighting. We do have some breaking, though. What is this? The Portuguese light melee cav. Not really surprising that they would break because of their light cav taking on a heavy cav. But a nice little fight here where they still somewhat have the Castilian cav surrounded. More breaking. Who is this? Portugal. Portugal is breaking. They just cannot fight this heavy shock cav. So really surprising there. I honestly thought the Portuguese were going to take that one, but because the Portuguese cav is getting destroyed, it's going to be very difficult for Portugal later on in this battle to try to contain this Castilian cav. Now, we do have cav engagements going on here. Portugal once again fighting against the Castilians. Portugal now sitting down, or actually this is Castile chasing down some Portuguese light melee cav who are headed for the crossbows once again. So let's look at their point of view where they're charging down, trying to seek another opportunity to run down these crossbows, and they certainly do that. They're chasing them down, trampling down these troops, and the crossbows once again are trying to escape, but again, it's not that bad. They didn't kill that many crossbows, and now the crossbows can turn around and focus down the cav, but actually Castile is now going to pursue that cav and maybe give the Portuguese a taste of their own medicine, go for a cav charge into the crossbows, and sure enough, Portugal, he tries to stand his ground to fire at this cav, but unfortunately, the crossbows are going to get chewed up here. Now, the other crossbows, They are actually, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why he's not moving back his crossbows. It looks like just now he decided to fall back some of his archers, which I assume are representing the English longbows. But now they're using fire ammo. They just lit that tree on fire. It must be a very hot day because it like instantly caught on fire. And now the cav is just running down the line, once again harassing these crossbows and trying to get some nice early aggressive kills. Back over here, the Portuguese cav has been pretty much defeated. They do have a couple depleted units here, but they're not really going to be that much of a threat anymore. Now, they've done some solid damage to this Castilian cav, the heavy shock cav, but they need to get them out of there and try to get them back before they get focused down. We also have some skirmishing cav, just kind of trying to focus down the Portuguese skirmish cav. So far, this has not played out anything like the historical battle. We've gotten a lot of cav engagements on the flanks. Again, they wouldn't really be able to do this because of the creeks on the left and right side of the Portuguese army, but again, this is more of an online battle with a fantasy, or not a historical twist, not a fantasy. This really happened, guys. But more cav charging up this way, still trying to harass the crossbows, not giving the Portuguese crossbows any time to set up. Now is the time, I think, that they should move up their infantry. Now that the crossbows have been silenced and they've been pushed back, now is the time to send up that heavy Castilian infantry to take on these Portuguese. Now back over here, they are still finishing up this cav, the Portuguese cav, and they're doing a great job. I'm actually really impressed by the knights here of Castile being able to take out a large force of Portuguese, greatly outnumbered. Now, they did send in some spear support, which I think really sealed the deal for them. But that was good awareness, good use of spears, and now he can move around the flank of the Portuguese. Now, if we look at this Portuguese position, they're now forming up because they realize their cav has been destroyed, and they're gonna have to deal with hammer and anvil. So they're taking a very defensive formation, which is cool because historically the Portuguese were very defensive in this battle. Now the Portuguese charge down some light melee cav to try to run down the crossbows of Castile, and they certainly do that. We've got some crossbows starting to break now to the site of that Portuguese cav, and the Portuguese are now going to fall back to the safety of their infantry. So really great battle. I think finally Castile is sending up the infantry. I think he's had enough of the skirmish phase. He's ready for the grindy infantry fight, ready to get his infantry swords wet in Portuguese blood. But now spears are actually moving forward, so medium spears. He could be using this spear unit to absorb some archer fire, really trying to save the more important, melee sorted heavy infantry running through the trees here. Oh yeah, look at this, guys. Look at this. And there's the Portuguese spears just kind of waiting for him. And this is a levy spear unit, so it's not the best. Oh, are they breaking? Are they fleeing? No, they're just falling back. It looks like I guess they served their purpose, and now the rest of the infantry closing in. Okay, a little bit of an awkward charge here, but I love they've got the French banner because, Castile was supported by the French. But here comes the charge. Finally, we got some infantry going into this fight. Absolutely beautiful engagement. And now we've got another charge going on here from the Castilian infantry, trying to push past the Portuguese and get behind their lines. So a nice start to this infantry battle. Here comes more Castilians, more French, more Aragonese going into the fight, trying to break the will of the Portuguese infantry. So let's actually slow down the camera and see that this massive long line engagement, absolutely love. This is why I play Total War, just the epic scale. And sure, it's not historical, but for the current technology where we're at, it's pretty dang cool. So yeah, nice long line here as they fight in these trees to break through the Portuguese lines. Now, if we turn on the HUD, you can see that they've actually broken through. This is where the levy spears were, and he's got his medium melee infantry. Portugal now quickly sending up their reserves to reinforce this fight and try to support their front line. They cannot be outflanked. And over here, we actually have some heavy polearm infantry. Wait, is that Portuguese. Yeah, that's Portuguese heavy polearm infantry trying to hold the line, just preventing any more Castilians from being able to break through here. And now we've got some medium polearm infantry on this side as well. So a nice bloody fight. Look at this. Look at this. And you can zoom down here and see that. Look at that. It's so cool. That long line over there. So let's actually turn on the HUD, because I think we've got some very strategic hammer and anviling going on here. Well, sort of. This is more like rear charges. So yeah, heavy shock cab going in. Unfortunately, they break. So they are wavering. They're going to... Actually, this unit has shattered. So the Portuguese back lines are holding on for dear life. The Portuguese still have their light cav. So even though it's light cav, they've got to watch out for this. And now, what are they charging in? I think they're going after maybe the king, going for the serpent's head. If they can kill the king of Castile, they will destroy the morale of the Castilians, which is cool because historically, a lot of the Castilian infantry thought their king was dead and they lost morale. But now the Portuguese are actually going to run around. Will they hammer an anvil or will they go for the crossbows? It looks like they are going to go for the crossbows. So let's get a nice insert view of the infantry charge. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful infantry charge. Love that so much. And the crossbows are now fleeing for their lives to escape the wrath of that light Portuguese cav. The spears are still trying to hold in the center. The Portuguese reinforcements holding back the kind of where the Castilians kind of breached through that front line. So they're just kind of patching up these lines, preventing any more flanking around. But so far, I think they're doing a pretty good job. We got another little pocket of fighting where the Portuguese are holding on for dear life to prevent these guys from being able to flank around and surround some of the infantry who's holding elsewhere on the battlefield. Now back over here, the fight still going on. We have some spears who are trying to maneuver around. It's a very healthy unit of 109 men, so maybe they're going to try to flank around and get behind the Portuguese infantry as they continue to hold here. We've got more spears pushing on the flank. The Portuguese are waiting for him. John of Portugal, he's got his men ready. It looks like he was going to go for a charge there, but he decides to fall back. And now we're going to head back over this way as this battle continues on in this epic battle line. Amazingly enough, still going on in this fight. Absolutely, absolutely stunning fight so far. Really enjoyed this one. It had a pretty slow start, but I really love the mind games and the tactics in that slow start. And it's really picking out all-out war, all-out total war. Now this is a little concerning. Some spears are starting to break for Portugal. He does have some reserves, some Portuguese swordsmen close by, but this is another issue. The Castilians are breaking through the center here and now going after these Portuguese reserves. This is it for Portugal. If these reserves break, then the battle could be lost for the Portuguese, and Portugal could lose their opportunity for independence. They cannot break against these Castilians. They've got to hold on. Now the balance of power is looking like it's slightly in favor of Castile. So Portugal definitely has a lot of work to do to try to turn this battle around. If we look at the numbers here, though, it's fairly even. But Portugal is now outnumbered by a good amount. So Portugal, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they need to do it. Maybe with their general cav unit. And here comes the King of Castile trampling down. He was able to sneak into the back lines, and now we've got the two men who are fighting really for this war right here, who started the war, fighting for the right to the throne of Portugal. But John of Portugal is starting to break, facing John of Castile. And oh no, he stopped breaking. He stopped breaking. He's still putting up a good fight. There's only 13 of him, or 13, him and 12 bodyguard. Actually, whoa! Look at this. They're breaking John of Castile. The Battle of Johns, and it's an epic one. John of Castile is starting to waver now. The Portuguese general hanging on here. I cannot believe this, that the Portuguese general is starting to turn this one around, but it is still dead even. I think it's because of the Portuguese reinforcements that are really turning the tide for this battle, but the general still fights on for Castile, even though he's been wavering. And there we go. The men have been broken, and that's going to be a huge help to this battle, but it is far from over. Castile still marching up his medium melee infantry. He is broken through, and he is starting to outflank this Portuguese position. And there goes more reinforcements going after these Portuguese swordsmen. So if we get a bird's eye view of the situation right now, guys, it's looking hairy. It's looking bad. You can see yellow represents Castile, red is Portugal. Portugal's doing pretty well on this side, right? But on this side, they are crumbling. They are starting to break. Now, Castile is also charging through the center. It's not as every minute goes by, it's looking worse and worse for Portugal. Now, I thought they had a little victory there, being able to defeat the general of Castile, but they still have a lot of work to do. They are in a good place, though. I mean, this is definitely they could easily turn this one around and try to take this one from the jaws of defeat, really. But here comes more Portuguese reserves trying to head over to the center, trying to slow down. I think they're going to try to flank around. Let's actually look at the point of view. No, why do we want to follow the one guy away in the back? We don't want to do that. Some more crossbow fire coming down on these poor heavy melee infantry. And there they go with the charge. Beautiful charge. And that should cause some morale issues as they flank around. But unfortunately, there's even more Castilians. More pole arms ready to reinforce that fight and possibly outflank that counterflank. So outflank the flank of the flank, basically. And Castile, even though they are losing this side of the battle, Castile is holding on and just really waiting for the other side of the battle line to wrap around and support these guys. But yeah, if we got more troops headed up this way, and actually a nice flanking maneuver by Portugal. So this battle is dangerous close. It is down to 800 to 1,300. They're now starting to break Castile over here. This is good for Portugal, but it's still greatly in favor of Castile. So Portugal, I'm not saying it's impossible for him to win, but it's looking like this battle is going south for the Portuguese army, and the fate of Portugal, it's looking rough. It's looking really rough. Now, they are still fighting over here. Oh, there we go. The Portuguese are breaking. They are now no longer fighting over here. And Castile can send over a lot of these reinforcements to head to the center of the battle. More and more of these forces marching forward. Portugal needs to quickly defeat these Castilian forces so they can send back their men and focus over on the other side of the battlefield and have any kind of hope of winning. They've got to defeat these forces quick. And there goes the general trying to aid his men, trying to quickly break this flank so they could send troops over to the other side. And sure enough, they are just doing that. They're quickly sending their men over to this hill. This is unbelievable, guys. Portugal not going down without a fight. They are greatly outnumbered, but this is more like the historical battle right here. Right at this moment, they're greatly outnumbered in having to use this hill here to defeat the Castilians. But oh, here we go. Another flanking move here by Portugal. They've got a nice little secondary, they can throw in some projectiles into the enemy forces. And now they're charging into the victorious Castilians. They're starting to break, seeing the fresh Portuguese go into the fight. And there we go. Is that going to break? Yes, that is going to break Castile. Portugal is breaking a lot of Castilian troops. The general, the fact that he still has his general is going to be a huge morale booster for the Portuguese. He's going to have to use his general wisely. He needs to keep the general away from the crossbows who could easily snipe him out, which sure enough, he's going to turn around and probably go after the general. The general is starting to waver, though, and it's probably because crossbow bolts, yep, sure enough, crossbow bolts are going after the King of Portugal. And now back this way, the Portuguese, seeing that their general is wavering, they are now beginning to waver. And we are at the last couple seconds of this battle replay as the Castilians fight the good fight and most likely will take this victory. So Castile changes history here today. And just for a little fun little what if. Well, how do you think this would play out? How do you think if this really happened, right? What would Portugal look like today? Do you think there would be any major differences? Now, I think a really important thing to mention here about this battle, seeing the English stand with their Portuguese allies. The English and Portuguese, I believe it's called the Anglo-Portuguese Alliance, is one of the, if not the longest alliance in human history. So Very interesting stuff right there, I believe so. Or longest alliance that's still today. I don't know. I don't want to say it incorrectly, but I find that to be very fascinating. So yeah, that was a Pyrrhic victory for the Castilians, but victory nonetheless. And John won the battle, but John was going to win regardless today because they're both John. So I want to give a big thank you to the players here in setting up this historical scenario. I love historical scenarios. The immersion really it pulls you in. So this was sent in by Vencedor. So I'm sorry, I slaughtered your name. I'm sorry, dude. But I appreciate it, man. I really do. But yeah, here's the kills. These crossbows getting a decent amount. The Cav really saving the day there. Some great kills with the infantry. Over on Portugal's side, the Cav not doing so hot. Some units doing well, but yeah, the Cav got butchered there. These nobles, pretty sad. But I think the archer, the crossbows didn't do that well either. Really, the best kills are these Portuguese swordsmen. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for today's battle. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, that little historical introduction. I will certainly try to do more. I'm trying to put more quality into my videos instead of just spamming them out, looking for good replays like this one. But thanks for watching, guys. If you liked this battle, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, share, and of course subscribe for more epic battles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on the battlefield.